What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 34 of Benny on the Beat, and welcome to the FuzzFam channel. What, pray tell, is Benny on the Beat? If you happen to be new here, just to make sure you're in the right place, I'm an American police officer. I work on patrol, and this is a series where I talk about my job. I give stories about what my day-to-day is like to try to give you guys some insight into the job and what we do on a day-to-day basis. Since it's the month of February, I'm also a part-time love guru. If you have relationship problems or just want to know how to be a better... I almost said lover. I'm not going to go there.
Disappointed!
So we're going to jump into the calls and get talking about them. Before I do, I need to ask a favor for you guys. Listen, our channel is pretty much dead right now. Please leave a like on the stupid video. Just hit the button. It goes into a folder of liked videos that you never pay attention to. It doesn't do anything for you, but for us, it tells the YouTube algorithm to send it out to more people, so we can actually go find some new people to join the channel.
But wait, there's more!
I know I sound like a used car salesman saying that. I feel a little bit dirty, but we need the help. At the very least, like them and make sure you're subscribed. That will help us. It will help new people find the channel, and I need the... I need the ad revenue. So it's been a little while since I've done a recap of like how my day starts in my department. I get to take my police car home. We have a car per man program that allows us to do that. If you have more questions about that, feel free to ask. Saves the taxpayers money. Cars stay in better condition. It's a good thing. So when I start my shift, I leave home, I drive into work. I've got a little bit of a commute. I get in and go straight to the police station where we have a lineup or a briefing meeting. We have 3 shifts. We have day shift, swing shift or afternoons, and graves or nights. Right now I work the swing shift, which is good for this type of content because it's usually the busiest shift. So we get into that meeting and we have a briefing about what's been going on shift before we got there, any important events we need to know about. We also talk about like wanted people. The detectives usually put together a bulletin where they get our help and show us cases they're working on to be on the... And we top off that lineup meeting with a quote of the day. And anybody that I work with knows, and they can tell you that it is definitely the highlight of the lineup meetings because they are always so inspirational and so worth the time it takes to even read them. So we get done with our lineup meeting, and then we can go get radios off the charger if they were charging, our body cameras if they were charging, and then we go out to our cars, and some people will do a walk around to make sure that their equipment's all working, maybe flip on their overhead lights, test the siren, make sure all that's good to go. Then I log on to my computer, the MDT or mobile data terminal, and I can click the button that says I'm available for calls. And what I do is I usually pull up the list of queued calls, meaning things that haven't been handled yet, just to see how backlogged we are, or if heaven forbid there's actually nothing there and day shift did something.
That would never happen.
So once we see those, I can look into the areas where I'm assigned. We do have beats or zones or districts, whatever, that we're assigned to, and I can look in those areas and I hone in on those calls, and then I'll usually start grabbing one. I can self-dispatch if I want, or I can sit back and just wait for dispatch to catch up to it and send me to something. And then it's off to the races. We start handling calls. I don't really have any tradition of going to, get a drink or coffee or anything before I start. I usually just start working. And speaking of calls, I got to start off my shift with a call of a suicidal female. She was actually at a detox center. So I was sent as a backing officer. The other officer I was sent with was the primary officer on this. So I went to back him. I just happened to get there first though. Now typically, like per officer safety and good tactics, you want to wait around the corner until you both get there and you can both go in, because you never know what you're going to find. You could jump right into the middle of an all-out brawl, and if you don't have your backing officer there yet, you stand a greater chance of injury and putting yourself out of the fight, which then leaves them alone. It's just a good idea to go in together. So I pulled around the corner and intended to stop short of this detox center, but as I came down the road, I realized they were outside and they saw me right as I came around the corner. So no way to avoid that. I had to get out and start engaging the situation. So I got out of my car, and the person that was suicidal, usually they'll sit there and talk to us and they actually want to go to the hospital. They want our help. In this case, she just started walking away, and I had to tell them to stop. Fortunately, she did. Fortunately, she did. She sat down and I was able to start talking to her. It was a few minutes before the other officer got there. As we're talking to her, she said specifically she wanted to die. She was suicidal and wanted to step in front of a train. She actually had a plan. So the ambulance is on its way. The officer and I are talking, and all of a sudden she decides she's had enough, change of plans. She gets up, picks up her bags, and starts walking away. Me and my partner are kind of looking at each other for a minute, and it's his call. I'm the backing officer, so he's the one calling the shots. So I'm looking at him for a minute, and I'm like, hey, are we admitting her to the hospital? Because if so, she doesn't get to just walk away. You could tell he was thinking for a minute and decided, yes, that's what we're doing, which was the right call. She had said she's suicidal and planned on stepping in front of a train, which, by the way, she was walking down the road, and guess what was less than 1 block away?
China.
a set of train tracks for the city light rail.
Not good.
So yeah, we got in our cars, we took off down the road, and we kind of pincered her in with our cars, got out, and she kept trying to walk away. Fortunately, we were able to get her verbally, by verbal commands, to start complying. She was right to that point where we were about to have to put hands on her, but she listened at the last minute, and the ambulance showed up, and long story short, we were able to get her in the ambulance right in front of the train tracks. She made it like 10 feet from the train tracks. The next one we had was a welfare check. So dispatch sent us along with fire and medical units to a grocery store parking lot. I think the complainant was an employee at the store. She called in saying that this elderly gentleman on a motorized scooter seemed really confused and disoriented. She said that he tried to pay for like $6 of groceries with $80 cash and then made his way out to his car. She thinks it was his car, but he had a key fob and he kept pressing it and couldn't figure out how to actually open the car. So she was worried about it. So we got out there and I found the guy by the car. He was still trying to get into it. I started trying to talk to him, but his speech was really slurred and it was really difficult to understand him. So when someone's having slurred speech and they're disoriented, of course, one of the things that we're wondering is this due to alcohol, drugs, or some kind of impairment. But as I'm talking to him, I couldn't smell or see any signs of that. So I started wondering if it was a medical problem. So I asked him a few quick questions. Medical wasn't here yet at this point, but he didn't know exactly where he was. He didn't know the date. He didn't know who the president was.
China!
Some of those basic questions that you would expect most people to know. So I started thinking he might be having a stroke or some other kind of medical problem. So medical got there really quick and started checking him out. They couldn't exactly figure out what was going on, but they determined he did need to go to the hospital. We tried to convince him to do that. He didn't really want to at first, but a little bit of talking and convincing, we were able to get him to get on the stretcher and go up to the hospital. And for us in our department, when we have those kind of medical assist calls, we do have to write a report. Every agency is going to be different. The one I worked for before I came here, when we helped medical out, we didn't do any kind of a report for that. They just did their thing and we were just there to help. Then I got an animal problem call. This one's a little more dear to my heart now because we have a puppy as of a few weeks ago. If you guys watch any of our family vlogs, you know this, but I've never had a dog in my life, and we got a dog for our family. It's a golden doodle, a mini golden doodle called Penny. So this came in as a complaint of a dog owner that didn't have their dog on a leash and was outside going to the bathroom when the complainant was walking her dog up the sidewalk, and she says she got attacked by this dog. Come to find out, when we got a hold of her, it really wasn't an attack. The other dog came over, the one that was off leash, and started circling her dog, and they started growling at each other and kind of wrestling. It was getting a little too rambunctious. So on this call, similar to almost any call we go on, a lot of people when they first call are super hyped up. They want the other person arrested, hauled away. They want their family in shackles. They want their house seized by the government. They want to see them burned at the stake. But usually by the time we get to the call, they've calmed down. They're seeing a little bit more clearly. And fortunately, that's what happened this time. So she didn't want any charges pressed. She didn't want any action taken. Didn't want animal control involved. She just wanted us to go talk to the other dog owner, make sure she was aware of the problem, which we did. We went over and chatted with her. She felt really bad. She was cool. She just came out to take her dog to the bathroom, looked up and down the sidewalk, didn't see the other dog coming, so she didn't bother with the leash. So we reminded her what the rules were. Everything was all tickety-boo, and on to the next one. Then I had the chance to back another officer on a traffic stop. So I heard an officer pull a car over that wasn't too far from where I was. So anytime that happens, we're supposed to kind of pay attention to other officers that are making self-initiated stops in the area, and just to take care of each other out there. You just want to orient yourself towards that just in case something goes bad. A lot of times when you stop someone and it is going to go bad, it happens pretty quick after the stop. So most of us are trained or in the habit of paying attention to that and just start driving towards it. Even if you don't make it there, or it sounds like it's okay, or they clear the stop before you get there, you at least orient yourself towards it just in case. Apparently she stopped them for speeding. They were driving really recklessly, went through a light and almost hit a few cars. Really caught our attention, so she pulled them over, and it ended up being an Uber Eats driver that was on delivery trying to get the food to the customer, which I could totally relate to. I used to be a pizza delivery guy. Domino's.
No one cares.
So she didn't end up writing her a ticket for anything. She just had a discussion with her, and I guess the driver even had a little bit of an attitude. So the officer tried to talk with her about why she didn't really have any right to have an attitude and how she could give her a ticket. I did notice that the officer kind of lectured her for a little bit. They had a discussion that lasted a few minutes. Personally, and you guys have seen some body cam footage from me in my younger days when I've made some traffic stops, but I don't personally like to lecture people on traffic stops a lot. I'll tell you a few things I don't do since we're talking about traffic stops. Number one, when I pull somebody over, I don't like the stupid question, do you know why I pulled you over? Or do you know why I stopped you today? Drives me crazy. It's like people think you're trying to trick them into admitting to something. And some cops probably are actually trying to do that. It's stupid. If you have cause to pull a car over, just tell them why you pulled them over. So that's one thing. The other thing is I don't like to lecture. Either give them a ticket or don't give them a ticket and get them on their way, right? Like quick, clean, and easy. Oh yes. Then we had a theft case involving a juvenile. Holy crap. This one really kind of blew my mind. So this started off with a report of a 14-year-old boy who had stolen some money from his mom and wanted the police to come and investigate, intervene, take action, or whatever. I don't know what they wanted. I was the backing officer on this one, but in my mind, I had already decided in my mind what this was because it's fairly common, all right? Let's be honest. Teenagers, they'll dip their hand into mom's purse or dad's wallet occasionally and they'll take a 5 spot. Maybe a 10. If you're really gutsy, maybe a 20. That's totally what I thought this was gonna be. And I was a little bit bothered that the police were being called. I was like, come on, be a parent, handle it. Like, discipline your kid, make him do some chores. I don't know. I had my own opinion of the fact that this could be handled by parents and not need to involve the police. No. We get there and start investigating this and find out. Do you want to take a guess how much money it was he took from his parents?
$2 cash.
Nope, much more than that. Let's just cut to the chase. It was just under $8,000. $8,000. What? So my partner's interviewing this kid and I'm just backing. So I'm just supposed to be there to watch our surroundings, make sure we don't get ganked by somebody or whatever. But when he went up to talk with mom, I could not help myself. I had to look this kid in the eye and just, all right, bro, let me understand this right. You took $8,000 from your parents. Do you even know what that money was for? No. It turns out, and he's talking to us about what he did with it and stuff, and his story changed at least 50 times while we were talking to him. So he's not an experienced criminal. He was probably pooing himself a little bit and just didn't know what to do. So he's lying through his teeth, everything he says. He goes from not knowing anything about it to finally admitting that he took the money, flexed with it like on an Instagram picture or something, and then went and spent a bunch of it. At least he claims that he spent most of it. Oh, and the money that was left, he says he was mugged. Now, in the city that I work in, if you're a stupid 14-year-old kid walking around flexing with cash, yes, it's entirely possible he could have been mugged. Do I think that's what happened? No, I do not. I think he either actually, in fact, spent all the money or he stockpiled it somewhere or gave some to his friends. That's what a 14-year-old would do. This was just a reminder to me. And this is no offense to teenagers watching this, but if you are a teenager, you're not yet to the point where you can comprehend or probably understand this. How do I put this in a good way? You're an idiot.
Wait, what?
From a brain development standpoint, your brain is not developed all the way yet. Doesn't mean you might not get good grades in school or in math or whatever, but it means as far as like thinking skills and common sense, you're just an idiot. Now, some teenagers are definitely better than others. Obviously, most kids are not stupid enough or inconsiderate enough to steal $8,000 from your parents. And by the way, this was not an affluent family. This was a family that struggles for every dollar they make. This was probably several months worth of rent, which made me feel even worse for the family. So, what do we do with this young man? Well, number one, it depends on whether or not the victim in the case wants to press charges, which they did, which I applaud them for. Not an easy thing to do sometimes to actually press legal charges against your kids. And I have an opinion on sometimes when you should and shouldn't. This was definitely one of them where he needs to bite the bullet. He needs to take full responsibility. So because of the amount, this was a felony level theft, which means that even though he was 14, handcuffs, back of the police car, and you're going to juvenile jail, which is what happened. Next up, we had another one of these welfare check medical assist calls. So dispatch advises that there is a woman in a wheelchair at one of our local Lowe's stores that is bleeding from the legs. She looks like she has some injuries and she's acting incoherent. That's all that we got. So no big deal, right? I'm going over thinking this will be mostly a medical call and we're just there to assist. As I'm en route, and I'm not even that far away, this is never a good sign, but dispatch comes over the radio and asks for an ETA. Medical wants to know how far away we are. That's usually not a good sign because they're asking, when are they going to be here? You can there's just a sense of urgency that comes by nature of the request. Fortunately, I was only a couple blocks away, just waiting for the light rail to pass and the crossing guards to go up. So I get in there, and they've got a gal that is a transient. She is sitting in a wheelchair, and she has sores and bleeding like all over. She looks she does not look good. She does not look like she's in good shape. As we talked to the employees of the store, it turns out she was trying to buy razor blades, and she told us that she was going to cut the spiders out of herself.
Not good.
Once we got her name and looked her up, the notes on her jacket or her information on our computer database showed that she was mentally ill and violent, a definite threat to law enforcement, and would fight with us. So she was completely incoherent. She was babbling about things. She was seeing things. I mean, obviously it says enough if she's trying to buy a knife to cut the spiders out of herself, right? So future police officers watching this video, you guys are already cops. You already know what's going to happen on this, but people that are not cops, what would you do? Has she violated any laws? No, she didn't attempt to steal anything. She's not really causing a disturbance. She's not breaking any laws. The closest possible thing could be intoxication, because it looks like she's under the influence of meth, but that's a stretch. So we're really not looking at a violation of law. So what's your next option? If you said the hospital, you are correct. Now, she did not want to go to the hospital, so we had to get to where we were making her go. So our standard for doing that, we've already talked about this with the other call with the suicidal person. Of course, this woman wasn't suicidal, but she definitely had documented mental illness. And the only other fact we have to be able to articulate is she a danger to herself and or other people? I think that we can establish that based on the fact that she's about to start doing surgery on herself. She needs help, right? And jail's not the place for that. She needs to go to the hospital and talk to a crisis worker. Okay, that is a sample of some of the calls that I had over the last few days. It's not all of them, but it's some of the biggies. I didn't even get to all of them that I want to tell you guys about, just because I don't have time to make too long of a video. I won't have time to edit it. And as always, we want to take a look at some of the comments you guys left on the last video. We love interacting with you guys. We appreciate you leaving questions, comments, funny jokes. In last week's video, we told the story about the elevator that broke, and the elevator repairmen were the ones inside when it got stuck. So the fire department had to come out and help them, and of course it ended in a happy ending, as always with the fire department, right? They are our true heroes. Of course, my true hero is Mort Homer, who commented that firefighters are known for their happy ending. Okay, moving on. First Ambient Girl leaving a comment, you're welcome. I actually respect that. I respect that, and I appreciate that comment. Adam N. talking about Donut Operator. You should contact him and train for the beer run in Texas. Matt from Demo Ranch is getting a crew together. You chugging 4 beers and running a mile would be epic. Adam, it would be something. Epic is not it. In fact, I think I already commented to you that both alcohol and running are against my religion. So on religious grounds, I must decline. But I will absolutely be there and tune in and watch Donut Operator do that all day long. Coral Cave, one question. How do you work a part-time job, security at that, with a full-time 10 to 12 hour shift for the PD?
By taking steroids.
So Coral, the way I manage it is I usually work overtime shifts on the mornings that I work my regular shift, which as you guys now know is swing shift. So if I have to be to work in the afternoon, I usually do these overtime shifts in the mornings. So I just have a long day. And I actually try to keep my days off free of any overtime or other jobs so that I can spend time with the family. It's actually when I try to catch up and do a YouTube video here and there. That's why we don't have regular tons of videos. There's just not enough hours in the day right now for me to make that happen, which is why we really need you guys to subscribe, like the videos, and share them. All right, we've already pitched it once. Johnny Breezy. Anybody that doesn't know, Johnny Breezy is an actual dispatcher where I work. Now that we're on the same shift, I'm going to help you out with these videos by making sure your shifts are a little more interesting. What? That might explain why I've been so busy the last few days. Swear on my life, if you cut into my Chick-fil-A and anime watching time, it's gonna be over. Pointless Vid Kid, man, I love your videos with 4 exclamation points. Pointless Vid Kid, I love your comments. You can leave one anytime. Ethan Wolf, let's do some more videos including the cruiser, unless it's wrecked. Guys, the cruiser is not wrecked. It's fine. Where do you get this idea? All right, I withdraw the question. Nonetheless, the cruiser is fine. And other videos with the cruiser, I'll think about that. If you have suggestions specifically, let me know, because we've already totally covered the vehicle tour one. We've toured every car that I've had, even one of them twice, I think. So if you have other ideas how I can incorporate the police car, let me know. Ryan Peters, hey FuzzFam, have you dealt with police impersonators in your Law EO? Did I almost say Law EO? It's getting a little bit late. I need to wrap this up. Let's just continue. If so, what were some of the things that got stuck that they did? All right, I'm gonna quit right now. All right, I'm done with reading. I think we get the gist of the question, even though I'm incapable of reading anymore. So obviously this will be the last question we look at today. Ryan, this will be a disappointing answer probably, but I actually haven't dealt with police impersonators myself very much. In fact, I'm not sure if in 15 years of doing this, I've ever had one. All right, on that note, since I can no longer read and it's late and I need to get this video edited, thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much for being subscribed. We appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Ew, ew, ew.
Please remember, if you're watching this in February, that this is Valentine's Day month, which is, of course, just a corporate holiday to sell candy. However, you may suffer the consequences if you forget it if you have a significant other. That's my PSA for the day, and we'll end on that. We'll see you guys next time. Everybody have a great week. Peace!